Just one thing. I need both of your opinions on this.
No, I wanted you to get started, man. Let's go. You got my opinion.
All right, J.R. Midas or Jon E. Midas?
Jon E. Midas.
You like being called Johnny? Jon E. Midas? Okay.
Jon E. Midas.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. In a way, I got my name back. All right. Thanks, guys.
I wanted your name back.
And now you can call me John anytime you want. It's a win. It's a win for all involved.
So is this your new name now?
This is my new name is my old name. My old name is my new name. I spell it differently now.
Okay. It's too bad instant messaging isn't a thing. Would that be your screen name? If AIM was still around, would that be your screen name?
Now it would be, yeah. I mean, it's about the name I signed my text on.
Would you be one of those that would change? Would you be one of those people that would change their screen name like every 6 months?
Go, you know what? I was. I didn't change it. I had one consistent one. That was my main. But then I always had like the sub ones.
I had a second one to see if somebody blocked me. I was that insane as a teenager.
Got it. I mean, my favorite one I couldn't get access to anymore.
It's okay if I use this. I like this.
All right, just want to let you know we're recording on camera.
Hello.
All right, hello everyone. How's it going? All right, so what you call it? So first, like, what do you want to go by? So now that we established my name, it's like, all right, cool. We know I'm Jon E. Midas. Excellent. But now
you guys just call me Garnet.
Garnet, right? That's what I figured. That's what I was gonna call you. So, all right, cool. So let me first ask you. When did you discover you had talent?
That's a hard question. Because I can't even remember. I'm at that age where, like, I can't really remember my childhood like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of, like, trauma, but it's because I've been alive for a long time.
Yes.
So I want to say, like, 7.
7. All right, cool.
That I have of my recorded.
Yeah.
It could have been maybe earlier than that,
but
my mom's not here to really confirm. So.
Yo, so do you remember what it was like? So when you go back to 7, like, is there a certain like thing that you do or something like that that you go refer back to, or it was just a general time that you remember being into it?
So in school and throughout at least my early education, I used to doodle a lot in class. And a constant thing I would hear in parent-teacher conferences was that, she's a smart girl, but she tends to lose attention and she just doodles a lot. And like, I think I forgot what grade it was. I think it might have been 3rd or 4th grade, where my teacher took one of my notes because I was supposed to be taking notes. And she took it because she saw that I was doodling, and then she showed my mom. And my mom understood because she knew that, like, that's just what I do. Like, that's always been, like, my thing at the end of the day. So she would just be like, I'm sorry, I just said my Garnet, please. Don't, like, just pay attention. So so I remember doing that a lot up until high school, because then I was more involved in the art program there. So I didn't really have a need to do that anymore. But those are my earliest memories of me being interested in drawing.
Cool. That's dope. So I'm like a terrible host because I'm probably supposed to introduce like what I'm doing, right? And why we're here today and stuff like that.
Make this an edit point.
Nah, not even. Like, as I said, I mean, I like the natural flow of conversation anyway. I think first, I'm thankful to have you here. Hello, Garnet. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Good. All right. What I'm working on, this is raised. So this is like real artist intentional self-care exercise, right? And what I'm looking to do with this project is I'm looking to like speak to different artists and really get a chance to like share your art. It's not very often we're getting a chance to talk about our pieces in a way where you get to shine a light on your work and get a chance to like peek into yourself a little bit and have an opportunity to just praise yourself and pat yourself on the back. as an artist, you know, you're always just considering your next work, and you just do it just to do it. So at the end of it, you're like, you never really give your work appreciation, and quite frankly, it comes from somewhere. So it's really important that.
Oh, by the way, I know I said I would finish that. I'm so lazy. I haven't forgotten about it for your cover art for your next day. I still am doing it.
Thank you.
I've just been lazy.
Thank you. I also want to talk about another project I want to do with you, like a poem to like art.
Ooh, okay.
This would be for the next chapter.
Are you familiar with Rupi Kaur? I can never say. She's Indian, but like her poems include like artwork too. So I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So
you should look her up. But I think I would love to do that. That actually sounds like fun.
No doubt. All right, excellent. We'll talk about that. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna refer to one of your. I'm gonna refer to your Instagram for this one. You have like a couple of photos, or like set of 3 or 4 photos, and it's you and your friends. And it's each of you in your different. It's each of you in different, like almost like because.
I know what you're talking about. Is it where we're in like an anime kind of?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I know that one.
Exactly. And I just wanted to take a second, and I think I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna attach some of the photos so they can kind of see like.
Oh really?
Yeah, to this video, yeah, so they get a chance to each one.
I'm gonna have a panic attack.
No, but the work was beautiful. I really enjoyed it, and the one thing that I got, especially knowing the friend group that you hang out with, and how great they are. They the vibe that I got, it was like this friends from across the galaxy type of thing. I thought. Can you speak to that and share like what you want to raise?
Wait, hold on. Let me open my.
Okay.
So that I could kind of like go through it in real time.
Of course, yes.
If I'm thinking about, are you talking about this?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
so it wasn't that one. Okay, so I did draw, my friends as like if we were like in a Sailor Moon school uniform.
Yep.
But we could talk about that one later on. But
cool.
These are also Sailor Moon related.
Yep.
So what did you want to know about them?
I mean, one is amazing. 2, whatever you care to share. So like maybe like what inspired you to do it, or
okay.
Yeah, or like yeah.
I was bored.
Great. Yep.
I was bored. I've been trying to get into a good headspace and try to find the stuff that brings me comfort. Ever since the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to that.
Sure.
That certain experiences occurred during those 2 years that really like changed my perspective on life and what I wanted and what makes me happy. And so it's still an adjustment. I had to make some decisions that were hard, and it's been an adjustment. So I've been trying to really like find myself again. So part of that was trying to find solace in what I love. And one of my earliest memories is that anytime something happened in my life, I always reverted back to this. And it always was like, it's like I had almost forgotten how much of a relief drawing and art is. And at the time when I made this one, my first, which is like it's like I guess I would call it a self-portrait.
Yeah.
I just was like feeling down, and I just I took a picture at work, and I was like, this looks kind of cool. Like, let's just try and just do it and just draw it. So I did it. I put the crescent moon behind me because I'm a Sailor Moon fan. So then after I did it,
yep.
And I saw like, all right, I like this. So then I went and did my friends afterwards. Like, I like doing portraits of my friends because they're very they're like a big part of my life. My friends,
yes.
Like my especially my girlfriends. So we like to joke around and say like when we're 80, we're gonna be like the Yaya sisterhood or whatever.
And y'all will be, definitely.
So
y'all will be, definitely.
a lot of my like drawings and stuff are usually like inspired by people in my life that I'm close to. I'm not really good at expressing myself.
I can relate.
So I had like, it's like I had forgotten that like art is a way of expressing yourself.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because usually I can't really express my feelings, but I kind of put it into what I draw. And yeah, so when I made my friends, I would put, you know, it's also like I love my friends, and then I included another thing that I love, which is Sailor Moon. So that's why like each portrait of my friends has like a Sailor Scout symbol. And it's usually like the 5 because it's 5 of us. Yeah. So
nice. So you found so you basically like found your Sailor Scouts, right? Like you have that's pretty fire,
in a way.
Man.
Like that's how I usually like compare things.
Yeah.
And it's like people like my friends laugh because it's like, of course, like Garnet would find a way to make it about Sailor Moon in time. I do. Hey. You watch Moon Knight?
You know what's crazy? I watched like 2 episodes and I like completely fell off.
It's pretty good. I was pointing out Sailor Moon like elements of it.
Oh, there was Sailor Moon elements. Okay.
Well, yeah, but then like I know it has to do with the mythology behind. But
oh,
yeah,
got you.
But it's just funny. I'm like, I'll see Sailor. I'll see Sailor Moon in like anything. Literally anything.
That's so funny. Sailor Moon is like, and it's something that I watched a few episodes of the first season because you suggested it.
Really? I suggested it?
No, I mean,
way.
More like suggested is a term I'm using lightly, you know? So. But yeah, you know, and I like it. I think, you know, I like the fact that, you know, Conjugal Mask like is like this useless character, you know what I mean? Like,
oh my god,
he shows
he's not
up.
Useless.
He shows up, and he shows up at times where it's like, we don't need you, bro. Like, but it's like, yeah. So I like that the comic, the humor in it. I like the, you know, I see that there's probably like definitely as you go along, there's probably more story elements at play, and there's a mythos to it as well. I mean, clearly, I'm not gonna call myself like an anime buff, but I did grow up in the Dragon Ball series, and I think that was something that I really enjoyed. And I saw it from Dragon Ball all the way up. So. No, but I saw it obviously when everybody else saw it. You know what I mean?
No, it's okay. I started out as a Toonami weeb.
Yeah, of course. And,
but I grew.
You know,
I promote growth. I like growth in my anime fandom.
My way was more music though. Like I think to me that's how I think that's how I really expressed myself and found my like. We could talk music all day, and I'd be like, oh, this, that, and I'm not as crazy as other people too. Like there's like I'm very selective in what I like.
There you go.
I'm like,
see, everybody has something.
I'm like, you know, like that's right. That's it. You know, I'm the one. I'm the kid who'd be like, you know, very very picky eater. You know, like same things. Give me that. So, but then when something new is introduced, you're like, oh, this is so cool, and you're like, you just got to crack the egg. That's all.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I was gonna ask, like, so who are your influences? Like,
who?
Mm-hmm. Who or what?
So growing up, you know how like I like anime and stuff like that, but before anime even like entered my life, I was always into like animation in general.
Mm-hmm.
So like originally, like when I was a kid, like my dream job was to be like either like an illustrator or like a cartoonist or whatever, because I used to watch like, you know, Looney Tunes, a lot of the Hanna-Barbera, like, what is our, God, I should know, like Birdman, Space Ghost.
You
like
Space Ghost?
Yeah, like I used to watch stuff like that. I used to love Disney animation. I think Disney animation from like as early as like the 30s to, I want to say like the 90s. That was like, their animation is like amazing. Like even for like something as like Snow White, like when you watch how they were able to create those things. Like, I'm so fascinated by hand drawing. I have no shade to CGI, no shade at all.
Okay.
I it is an art form.
It totally is, absolutely.
But I think we like lost the appreciation for like hand drawn animation.
I see.
So a lot of like my influences are, like from the era where like hand drawing. That's why I like anime so much, because a lot of that is still like hand drawn mixed with computer animation and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's still hand drawn.
Yeah.
And I just always, I don't know, I grew up appreciating like the work it puts in to like create all these stills and like how they create like this whole thing and put it all together. And so that's why a lot of my stuff looks like cartoony a little bit.
It's just your style and design, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. That's your approach. So I'm gonna go back to Disney for a second. I found, me personally, I found it fascinating. Fantasia, where they did the whole.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Disney movies, and the fact that it was in like the 40s.
Yeah, one of the first like pieces ever created, right?
Yeah, where they were able to mix animation and real life. Because like, if I also think of not only Fantasia but like Mary Poppins, the Three Caballeros. That included like real life people with like animation. Like watching that as a kid, I was like amazed because I was like, how are they doing this? Because when you're 5, you don't like know. You just know a cartoon is a cartoon, and real life is real life. And then when you see them together like that, you're like, what? How are they doing that? I just found that like amazing. Fantasia is a movie that doesn't even have to include words. But you're still able to see see a story with each like segment that they show, and it combines like classical music.
That's awesome.
It just shows like there's like different art forms that can create like a whole experience. I don't know. I feel like I sound like I'm rambling.
No, guys.
But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Fantasia. Not a lot of people like know about Fantasia. They know about Fantasia 2000.
Fantasia 2000, yeah.
I remember wanting that for Christmas.
What?
Like, the VHS, not the DVD, because the DVD was too expensive at that time. But yeah, I remember wanting, when I heard that it came out, I loved Fantasia. So when they said like, we have a Fantasia 2000 for like, because it was the millennium and all that crap. And I was like, my mom was like, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, I want a Fantasia 2000. My mom's like, you just want a movie? And I'm like, yeah. Ask my mom how many times I watched that. I drove her crazy.
You know what? What I drove my mom crazy with, I used to like the Christopher Reeve version of Superman. That was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. Yeah, you couldn't tell me nothing about anything when it came to that. And the Superman score, right, was something that I was always enthralled by it.
Are you the type of person that would collect scores?
Like musical scores? Well, I did get the Spider. Well, when Virgin Megastore was still a thing, I got the Spider. Yeah. Virgin Megastore had everything. Oh my gosh, that place was like a haven. They had like any type of music, any style, any genre from anywhere in the world. They basically.
Yeah, I know. I remember the first time I went there. I remember cutting class to get the Kanye sunglasses from his graduation album.
Yeah, that's right. That was the thing for quite a little bit.
Yeah, and then maybe like a year or two after it closed down, maybe like a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I remember I was like, I had either just finished high school or was about to finish high school when they closed. And then now it's, I think, a Forever
20. It's mostly retail these days.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, like retail, that's the other thing that's about to be phased out and adjusted and changed. I don't know. We're going to have.
It's whatever.
Yeah, we'll have some interesting. Maybe groceries. And groceries and.
We're gonna be like Wally.
Groceries, tattoo shops, and and smoke shops. Boom. That's gonna be what takes up the streets of New York City. So All right. So do you have a favorite art piece, like something that you've done, and like this is like my baby, my best work, my
Oh my god! One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't save the ones I did, like when I was younger.
Yeah.
But that was because storing, buying like frames and stuff is expensive.
Mm.
My proudest work recently,
Mm-hmm.
probably this one. I don't know if you saw this one when I did the Persona series.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did not see this.
For those of you that don't know, when I say Persona series,
Right.
I mean the game Persona 5. But yeah, I had just gotten Procreate, that app for the iPad, and I was just testing a lot of stuff out, and I just drew it, and I just did it to see if I could do it. Because I hadn't really drawn in a long time. Like, I can't really remember, So when I did, I was like, sometimes you get worried that, like, if you don't, what is that saying? If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see if I could do it, and if I could even do it like on a digital. I've always been interested in digital art too. When I got older and I discovered like digital art, I took a digital art class in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I got really into that, and my teacher was really good. Like, she was like an artist. Like, she's normally a painter, but she explored and experimented with all types of art.
Oh, that's cool.
So I got into digital art that way. Originally, I wanted to go to college for that.
Okay.
But the schools I was interested in, they were either like really expensive. Then as like I knew other art students, they would say like, look, you could go to college for it, but it's going to be hard to really find a job. So that was when I was taking like a long break to figure out like what it was that I kind of wanted to do. But you don't necessarily have to go to school for art really to like, it's basically a degree. It's just to show you have like credentials and formal training in something.
Yes.
But because you could learn, I didn't really take art classes when I was young.
Right.
I pretty much self-taught myself. I did take like art classes here and there, like obviously like in school.
Yeah.
And then in middle school, my mom had signed me up for an art class to go to after school.
Yep.
But I was still involved in art in school. But for the most part, like my mom didn't teach me how to draw.
Right.
My dad didn't teach me how to draw. I just would look at something.
Yes.
And I was able to like imitate.
That's awesome.
What it looked like.
That's awesome.
And draw like freehand.
And you can't teach that. All right.
Yeah, like it's like with music, some kids are able to play like the piano at like 3.
Oh yeah, right. And that's the other thing. Like the same thing. When I talk about my poetry, I didn't choose it; it chose me. Like I don't go for formal training. I'm not like a person who listens to other people's poems or writes down a lot of wants to like have every other wants to catalog all the poems that are out there. Do I like Maya Angelou? Do I like Langston Hughes? Right? Do I like
And you learned that on your own about these poets, and
yeah.
I mean, I know they usually teach that in school, but
well, Maya Angelou, I don't feel like I got Maya Angelou in school. Like
Langston Hughes, I know is a big one.
Langston Hughes, right? Yeah, absolutely, dreams, right? But I don't go out chasing like other poetry, but I feel like when it's expression, it's something that comes out of you, and I've also kind of adopted this like personality to understand like artists. I don't care like the last piece that I did, the poetry sesh with the the whole chapter piece when it started off with like each poem with the temperature rose, like it was like it started off very loving and kind, and then it goes to like the hottest level of the hot button topic, and then out with like this like audio poem. I did that, right, with the intention of like when I put it out there, like I didn't care if it was a derivative of a derivative of a derivative, right? Like if it was something that I was super satisfied with, then this is me. This is my art. Like enjoy it or don't. It's your choice.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be the next like Basquiat,
right,
or whatever. This is just I did it because after I did it, I felt good.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like, and then it was just like something like it just like I thought I was gonna lose it, but really it's like riding a bike.
Mm-hmm.
You never really forget, and it like clicked that like this is how I deal with stress, and like this is how I used to deal with stress. And I remember being like a kid, like drawing at like 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, and then my mom would see that my like night light was on, and she'd be like, "Go to bed." It's like I had almost forgotten, but when I started doing it, you know. I felt it just like, so usually now every time I feel overwhelmed, I'll just like draw something, even if it's like very minuscule. And then I just feel like the stress goes away. And I think with growing up, unfortunately, I think, when like you get more responsibility, sometimes it's like hard.
Oh, yeah.
To very much like, so. And our culture doesn't really respect the arts that much.
Yo, by the way,
unless it's like in a certain, as long as it falls within like some sort of paradigm that they could sell, I guess.
Right, exactly. I actually have a poem. Speaking of culture and my specific culture, I have a poem about being New Yorican. Yeah, that one. Well, you know what? At the end of
I honestly say to people that I am second generation New Yorican because my mom was technically first generation.
Mine too.
See, I think isn't it interesting to have most of my friends are like first generation.
Well,
sometimes I feel like I'm like super. I'm not super modern. Yeah. But like my mom grew up here, and even my grandmother grew up here. She moved here when she was 8.
Yeah. And
they even say like because when I went to Puerto Rico, it's so different. Like it's so different.
But so a lot of
and I have friends with me that are Puerto Rican, but they grew up in New York. So like when you go to it's like you think it's kind of the same, but it's not. Like.
But there's a lot like. Once you go there, you understand why.
Yeah.
You understand that there is a connection. Like you were Puerto Rican this whole time, you just didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is that there too.
I guess. Yeah. Well, when we went, we stayed like in the capital. So like basically all that was missing where we were at was like the 6 train and the 4 train. So I don't know, but it's kind of I don't know. I just find that interesting. You're like one of the only friends I have that have like, and besides. Should I say Danto? That
absolutely sure.
Had like first, I guess, like parents that grew up here.
That's so interesting. Yeah,
so it's always like an interesting thing. It's like your parents kind of sound like they would get along with my mom and my family because they like are New Yorkers too. It's too bad my mom's in Florida though.
Florida, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that sucks. But they could be like online friends.
Yeah, or maybe my mom could just vacation in Florida. I don't know. So I'll go into the poem. Maybe afterward, or whatever. But I'll talk to.
No, do it now. We were talking about it. Do it now.
Oh, all right.
Do it now.
All right. Well, here we go.
Such an artsy fartsy episode.
I know. This is what this is all about, right? All right. I'm also going to put this on Spotify too. I'm doing chapter 1.5, Destinations and Detours. Detours and Destinations.
Oh, okay.
Detours and Destinations.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, So it goes, New Yorican. You know what? I can't do it again.
You're like, where are the bongos at?
The bongos? Oh
we
my
need
god.
some bongos or some
We do.
shit.
Congress, right? Congress.
It's about to get real interactive in here.
Alright, here we go. Don't make me laugh, right?
I'm not gonna make you laugh.
Don't make me laugh. Alright,
Okay.
cool.
I'm not.
Here we go. New weekend. From the motherland to the island of loneliness. That's the New Year weekend. Or New York weekend, for those who aren't fluent and sexy. A Puerto Rican poem is usually one of triumph and unity. But I'm here today to tell the story less told. Because you need to call out the ones you love. Our PR reps told us to fit in with the lack of culture found in the United States. Then we began to lose the language that was forced on us by our previous landlords. Those who lost that language then mastered the parcel tongue needed to survive in the land of snakes.
Ooh!
From there, the very same people who taught us to be more you than them now get upset. Oh, yeah, more you than them now get upset that they are more them, US, than us, US. The identity crisis continues when you have to choose between the appeal of the black struggle or the burden of white privilege. But those who don't choose a side and who are stubborn enough to keep their island traditions in this grand flower pot, they don't grow. When it comes to race, we don't see political on the form. Instead, we are the fabled reptilians who walk the earth, a true race, the chameleon, who has camouflaged ourselves into all walks of life. Our island is struggling, and ironically, so are the people who no longer live there. So why did we leave? Why do we stay? When will we unite? And when will we join our Latin American siblings, hand in hand, judgment-free and full of love? Does not work for you.
And that concludes another episode.
It'll be refined when I actually put it on the...
what's the title? What's the name of this segment?
Detours and Destinations.
Detours and Destinations.
So that's going to be a Spotify one.
So what's next week's? What's the next destination? Who knows?
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and I'll refine it when when it's recorded on Spotify. But that was the general idea. What'd you thought?
I really like that parcel tongue reference.
Yeah.
I love how Harry Potter is so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what part of the world you're from, Harry Potter is that defining thing. I think there was like an argument or like a debate I saw on Facebook about like which franchise is more iconic, Harry Potter or like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Personally, I think Harry Potter is going to be talked about for at least year. I could see like in 100 years, people talking about Harry Potter. Marvel, like the comic books, I could see being more, I think they're a little more iconic than like the cinematic universe, because I learned that that's like two different things.
Right.
It's just a shame that like but then again, look at J.K. Rowling. She's kind of like under fire because of she was like an amazing writer, but she just had that one flaw, and I think it just goes to show like why people shouldn't really worship people, because people are flawed.
People are flawed, absolutely.
But yeah. But I love that you made that Harry Potter reference.
Thank you.
I really like that. That was my favorite.
Cool.
I like that you mentioned how the people that are like us, they want us to be more like us.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
You know what's crazy? Like when I was writing, I'm like, all right, bars. surprised. But there was one that really like resonated with me.
Because like, you've probably been told by like other Spanish people that like you're not really Spanish.
Boom. Yeah, and the fact is, I mean, you have, of course, absolutely. And the fact is, they don't get why that's the case. They don't understand. Like they had to whitewash me in order for me to survive and make it as far as I did.
Try having a French last name that like blows people's heads off.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope ass. You have a pretty dope ass last name. You know what I mean? But it could be considered like, it could be considered Haitian. It could be considered like.
Yeah.
It could be considered Creole.
It is Creole Haitian, but like it's just interesting because it shares an island with DR.
Yeah.
So like there are probably Dominicans with my last name too. But that's a whole other can of worms. I'm not trying to get you canceled. No, that was my phone. She'll have to wait.
Gotcha.
But I like the poem. It was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Though I think the one thing that stood out for me was the grand flower pot and not growing. Like saying like if you don't change, you know what I mean? Like you'll stay stuck in that same bubble. And that one hurt me to write because I'm like you try to tell people not to change. And I'm like damn. And it's like if you don't, I don't know, like embracing Puerto Ricanism is like a very, very taboo thing, and I don't know how much people realize that, So I was like,
at one point apparently it was illegal. I didn't even know that.
Holy shit.
With the flag. Now I know why like people would do that, like have the flag out everywhere because at one point it wasn't allowed.
Well, there we go. A little bit of history. So.
Oh look, we got the flag right here.
You know it. There we go.
It's a monochromatic one.
Beautiful flag.
It's the anarchist Puerto Rican flag.
What the the tribal Puerto Rican flag.
Mm-hmm.
Tribal Puerto Rican flag. All right. So, what motivates your art? Like
right now?
Yeah, I mean, at any point, like, does it come from different places? Does it come from emotion? Does it come from...
Most of my inspiration is from, like, the people around me.
Right.
So, like, my friends, my family, usually, like, just stuff that I find interesting, stuff that I find pretty. Yeah, that's usually that's where... Sometimes I'll just be sitting at work and then like an idea will come.
Right.
And then that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Instead of like, don't quote me on this. This is off the record. But usually instead of doing my work, I'll focus on how I'm gonna like draw this out. And like I'll do like a sketch or something.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, I'll get on the iPad and I draw it out. I've been getting better with it.
Nice.
So as I play with things, I get better at it. I need to practice more, but like most things, it just takes practice.
Well, I was gonna say, I think one thing I've gotten to the habit of understanding is I don't like discredit like art. Like anybody's art, I try to be like, oh, that's that's dope that you shared that with me. Like that's your art. Like whether I like it connected with me or not, like it's like it's really important to understand that everybody's expressing themselves, right, or putting themselves out there. And artists like I didn't realize I was one. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Like you don't realize because you're often told that you're not because it's supposed to be like at a professional standard. Of art is like the way it's like what people think is art.
I also think because yours is more writing.
Yeah.
Right. I think when people think
True.
of art, they think of like painting or like
True.
very like a specific format.
True.
Writing is a form of art. So in a way, you are an artist. You are able to communicate with the words or written word or spoken word. Which is a form of art. It requires a level of creativity. Same thing with like music, acting.
Yeah, absolutely. All that is included. Yeah, most definitely. Music, acting,
dancing,
dance. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing. Like, I think there's a lot of ego in art too. Like, and that's something that I feel like I want to at least in this piece or in this, because it's more for therapy. It's more for personality, right? So, you know, I'm trying to take the ego out of art, right? And I think one of the things that is like important, right, is like art's supposed to be that motivational part. And I think the things that bring you to, that connect you to your work is like, it's like cool. Like the world around Garnet is what makes the art piece come off the page. You know, like, and you create the world around you, and that's so cool.
Basically, yeah, that's basically what I do with. I think maybe honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be my way of dealing with reality, maybe. So
yeah,
that's usually it.
What's that?
There was a point in time where I wanted to make a graphic novel too.
A graphic novel? Yo, that's crazy.
I had a graphic novel where I would write. It would be like fan fiction based on anime I watched. So, yeah.
How far did you get in? Did you start it? Did you work on like some of the concepts for it?
I would make like just non-canon like storylines.
Non-canon storylines. Yeah.
Where I thought this would have been a cool thing to have added.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. I've like experimented with a lot of different types of art too. Like I've done sculpture. Sculpture's hard. I like almost failed that class.
Wow.
I took photography. I wish I had been more. At the time I took it, I wish I was more like not lazy.
Yeah.
It's my problem is that I'm like lazy sometimes.
Right.
So I wish, because we did traditional photography, and traditional photography is hard. Like with film. Yeah. That shit is hard.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. Not that I have a problem with digital photography, but I think film captures pictures in a more authentic way than digital does. But that's just my opinion.
I see.
But yeah, I've done photography, sculpture, fashion. Well, fashion design is like figure drawing. So like, I did I think for my fashion class, we did like a swatch or like a vision board. Yeah. Where we had to like basically draw like a fashion line.
Fashion line, yeah.
Based on a time period. Okay. I did a Victorian like fashion line. Yeah. So we did like figure drawings and how to like do bust drawings and stuff like that. That was cool.
Do you still have those?
Oh my God. No. All right. My God, if I had like the ability to, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have probably made more of an effort to also save a lot because, but it's, we only have so much space. Mm-hmm. And then my mom would be like, no, we gotta get rid of this. Like, you're running out of space.
Of all the poems that I have from my past, there's this one poem that I wrote on a bus map, train map. Mm-hmm. Bus map, yeah. It was the Queens bus map or something like that when I was still living in Brooklyn. And
you've just been fascinated by Queens
my whole life, and I didn't even realize.
Queens, like
it called to me. It called to me. You know what I mean? Like
this mystical place for you.
No, I mean, that's the funny part. I love Brooklyn. It's in my DNA. Like it's who I am deep down inside. But like growing up, being a Nas fan.
Exactly. That's why it's funny. You're a Mets fan too, right?
I'm a Mets fan as well.
Must end the season.
Oh, all right. Well, we didn't have to go there. I thought we were having a friendly conversation.
I learned that from you. And with the Jets, right? Just end the season, must end the season. Yeah. Oh.
Well, the Jets look like they're on the up and up. I mean, people gonna laugh when they hear that because they know that's not true. But you know what? I'm gonna say it till it is true. So, damn.
It's bound to happen, right?
It's bound to happen, right?
A broken clock is right twice a day.
and the clock is gonna break this season. All right, clock is gonna break. Oh man, so